All right, everybody. If you missed last month's promo code from Latitude Outdoors, you got a second chance here. Right now, until May 31st, they are running their Memorial Day sale where you get 20% off everything on latitudeoutdoors.com's website. So don't wait until frickin' September or October to start buying stuff. Get you a saddle right now, get your platform and your sticks, whatever you need, and visit Latitude Outdoors and save 20% off right now. It's time to start thinking about whitetail gear. ASIO Gear, it offers a fantastic solution for any of your clothing needs. They've crafted a premium line of bow hunting gear that stands out in quality, especially for the price point. What's more, every purchase from ASIO comes with a lifetime warranty. That gives you some peace of mind there with clothing. With their unique camel pattern and great technology in their garments, ASIO ensures you'll stay comfortable in the stand or in the saddle, or whatever you're using. And here's the kicker. ASIO is offering a special deal to listeners. If you use the code ECHO15 at checkout, you can get 15% off your purchase of anything on the ASIO's website. So visit ASIOgear.com today to explore the selection of premium hunting clothing that they have over there. The folks over at Excess Outdoor Gear have some exciting releases lined up for this year. The first one is that new Lift 4K camera, along with their Arrival A5 and their MMT and NIS arrows. They're offering an exclusive 15% discount on their entire website for listeners of this podcast by using the code ECHO. So don't miss out. Grab your Excess Outdoor Gear at excessoutdoorgear.com and use code ECHO to save some cash. And finally, the original sponsor of this podcast, Stealth Outdoors, makers of the greatest silencing tape on this side of Mars. And good news coming from Stealth Outdoors. Lou's offering everybody that listens to the show 10% off using the code PTE10. So go to stealthoutdoors.com. Make sure you get your silencing tape. Get you a shirt from Lou. Go over there and support Lou. He's a great guy with a great product. Visit stealthoutdoors.com. All my partners are in the description of this podcast. Go check them out. What's up, everybody?
Howdy, everybody. How y'all doing?
Flawless, Patrick.
Hey, I like that Stealth Outdoors. You got really excited on that one.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
Yeah, you got a little animated.
Well, those ads sometimes, I mean, to be honest, like they can get monotonous. So like doing something weird like that sometimes I think is more entertaining than just reading.
Have you seen these new ads these people are doing on, like it's a new thing on, I don't know, I see it on my reels on Facebook for the Instagram reels where they'll add like, I don't know, a car doing donuts and like slam into somebody. And then the guy will fly over to the side. And the next thing you see is the guy that's doing the ad. And he'll be on the floor, like sliding. He'll go, come to Thomasville GMC, whatever. And pick up a brand new. Oh, they're so funny. I'll have to send them to you. I've been sending them out to everybody. I can't believe I didn't send you one. Oh, no, they're hilarious. There was one where this guy's like boxing and he punches a guy and this guy goes bam against this car. And then he goes, you want some knockout deals? Come see us at.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like a lawyer or a car dealership commercial.
Yeah, they're doing them on like TikTok and Facebook. Like those are the new ones. It's funny. God, I'm gonna send you some after the show.
You'll have to because that would be funny.
Yeah,
I get. I used to. Well, we both used to be big wrestling fans, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I love those ones. There was like I can't remember what it was. I sent it to someone. I'll send it to you afterwards too. But these guys had this, like they were putting something in the microwave and they're heating it up and it started popping, like had metal in it.
Uh-huh.
And then like all of a sudden the microwave explodes on them. But then somehow they edited it to where then it was like Edge coming out, like the rated R superstar.
Oh yeah.
He was coming out of the microwave. I don't know. It's hilarious.
That's what they're starting to do with these commercials. It's the same kind of thing, like transitions.
Thing.
Yeah, I'm just gonna start doing that. My whole channel is going to be transitions of me getting like a horse kicking some lady and then me flying across going, hey, stop by. Me and Josh will be talking about Jesus on Monday. Come see us. You know, have you seen there's these two brothers and they do wrestling moves on each other in like the pools or at like trampoline places or whatever. Oh, it's hilarious. And they have like JR and Lawler in the background. Oh my God. Oh my God. No, stop, Stone Cold, Stone Cold. I love it.
Yeah.
Those
Watch
are the
out, watch
best.
out, watch out. And it's
Yeah,
always like someone doing an RKO on
yeah,
someone.
yeah. RKO, RKO. Oh, I love it. Man, I miss those days.
Oh man. Huck was into wrestling there for they go in, kids go in and out of things real quick, but he like had a month or two where he really liked wrestling.
Yeah.
And we watched a little bit of it, but
Yeah.
the
Oh,
new
those
stuff I
Raws
can't.
are fun. I went to a Raw
Yeah.
one time when I was a police officer with a bunch of police buddies. Oh, it was so much fun.
Was
We had
it?
a good time. Oh yeah, it was fun, man. It
I
was
was worried. I thought about taking him, but I was kind of worried about him not being able to see real well, being so little.
uh get close up tickets and stuff, and he'll be able to see. I mean, I remember the one that we went to was in, I don't know, 2012, I think. I don't know. I just remember Kane coming out from underneath and pulling John Cena down under the ring. And then John Cena came back out from under like pulling him out of the middle of the ring. Like he tore the ring in and come out of the middle and like pulled John Cena down. And then John Cena came up through the ring and was fighting him, as he came back up the ring. I don't know. They had some beef going on. It was after hours or something. It was funny.
Oh,
It was in Memphis at the.
that's Huck's favorite wrestler is the Big Red Machine.
Oh yeah,
Dang.
He's our governor. He's not governor, but he probably will be one day. But he's the mayor of Knoxville, man. Knoxville.
Oh really?
Yeah, he's the Knox County mayor. Yeah, sure is. Glenn Jacobs.
I didn't know that.
Yep, he sure is. He's been the mayor there for maybe about 4 years now. Or not? Yeah, the county mayor. Yeah, so he runs that county.
All those older wrestling guys now that are retiring, they're all going like on these big podcasts now. It's getting like real popular again.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Hulk got saved about 2 months ago. I think he was baptized and he got saved.
They're all running through, like Joe Rogan's having them all on, and now you see them on all these other podcasts. So
yeah, y'all like it. He said Riley down there says that he's his mayor. Yeah, y'all like him. I think he's doing a really good job out there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's real conservative. Like he's, he'd be good. I'd like to see him as President Kane.
That'd be awesome. He wears that mask every time.
Yeah, when he goes to deal with like China or Russia, he wears the Kane mask with the hair like all wet. The whole
dude,
outfit.
how awesome would it be to have a president like that?
Oh.
Like, dude, that'd be going over there and like going to, I don't know, North Korea and standing next to Kim Jong-un or whoever. And,
yeah. Oh yeah. And
he'd be so intimidating.
He's looking down at him. The big red machine.
Has to wear the mask.
Yeah, better than him than Rock. Hollywood Rock. Get rid of Hollywood Rock. He'll probably run too one day.
Kane would be much better. The Rock's probably more realistic, but
yeah, well, I don't know, man. I don't know how he's doing like mainstream, but I think he's doing a really good job in Knox County. I know they really like him out there.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe he's already got things going.
Yeah, if he runs for direction. Well, he's got name recognition too with the wrestling thing, and if he does a good job in Knox County, I could see him becoming our governor here. That'd be probably the next step up the ladder, depending on how the party wanted to push him. And then he's an America First kind of guy too, so he's not one of these rhinos.
What's interesting about those guys is like, or what's intriguing or nice about those guys is like Kane doesn't need. He's not doing this for money. Like, you know what I mean? There's no way.
No.
So you have these career politicians that the only reason they're in there anymore is so that they can have a salary of $150,000 and be worth $10 million. And
above the law.
Yeah. And it's like those type of people are like the worst kind of people. Yeah. I mean, it's like
it's the only job they could have. Like they homeless people are more qualified to do that job. No slight on homeless people, but somebody that's not wanting a job or working and is standing there with a sign is probably more intelligent, more qualified than 90% of the people we have running our country right now.
Yeah.
So,
well, at least they're. I mean, maybe their compass, their morals would be a little,
they can't be worse. They can't be worse at this point. I'm a Big Red Machine. Big Red Machine 2032. Yeah, Kane Vivek 2032.
Oh man, that'd be awesome.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to
Yeah, I don't know either, man.
not get off on a tangent, a political tangent.
No.
Mm,
What else is going on? Turkey season's done
done.
pretty much
Yeah,
everywhere.
pretty much.
I think Michigan's open for a couple more days here, but come June, everything will be closed up.
Yeah, yeah.
Back to thinking about deer hunting.
I'm already there. I'm ready to
Yeah,
go.
me too. I need to.
Putting some salt out, and
Yeah, yeah. I need to start getting my bow put together. I think I'm gonna start messing with that next week.
you got nice teeth, Josh. I like that. I always told him that, Gordon. He does have nice white
I
teeth.
just brush them twice a day and floss.
He drinks a lot of coffee too, guys. So that's
I do.
that's like coffee teeth. I got coffee
Yeah.
teeth.
I
You got some good one.
I don't know.
I'm missing a tooth. Like I got the canines. Like they say here, and then the three, and I got three between them. I don't have four. You got four.
Yeah, I'm not missing any. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm missing I have a molars taken out, but
Yeah, my dad had the same deal. My grandmother had the same, like almost exactly the same bite. Like
really,
like lower. Yeah, she only had in the middle tooth looks exactly the same. All three of us had. It's crazy.
when I was a kid, I had braces as a kid because my teeth are all jacked up. But
yeah, I didn't have braces.
I didn't do a very good job of like wearing my retainer and stuff. So my bottom ones kind of are crooked a little bit, but not. I don't care. They're fine. They're good enough.
Man, the guy knew what he was doing when he didn't make it to where I had teeth that needed braces. Because if I did, I'd have a raggedy smile because my parents were never taking care of that.
Yeah,
or I'd be one of those 40-year-olds with braces. Like
yeah, right. Invisalign now.
Yeah, I just figured out I needed braces, so I went and got them in my 40s.
But thank Gordon never dies. I appreciate it, man. It's not something I really try to do though. It may be a little bit of my camera too. But
no, you got pretty white teeth, man. I've seen them.
Yeah, I don't do anything with them. Like I just brush them and floss. My wife used to be a dental hygienist.
There you go.
So she kind of got me into the. Now I feel gross if I don't brush and floss every day.
Oh yeah.
It's also nice not to. Although last time I went to the I had to go and get a filling or an old filling fixed. It like came like something popped out. I don't know all the technical terms, but something popped out. I had to go get it fixed. But I guess that technically isn't an issue other than it just was an old filling that popped out.
Yeah. I man, just up to my folks when I was growing up, I think my teeth were just rotted out. They didn't take us to the dentist very much, man. They're just like, I mean, that just like telling this is the grace of God that I had a pretty good teeth, because if I did,
Yeah. Oh, I always went growing up, I guess, or at least once a year. Then, of course, my wife worked as a hygienist for 5 or 6, whatever it was, I don't know, a handful of years. And we got it, it was free then. So we just went.
Oh, yeah.
I'd
be going in there every day like, all right, I'm here to get my teeth brushed.
Yeah. Good morning.
Friday. Hey, I'm here. Josh is here.
I don't like it that much. I don't like going there. I don't like getting my teeth cleaned or anything.
No, I don't think anybody likes going to the dentist.
Yeah, I don't like them. I don't like them poking me with their little needle thing they have.
Oh yeah, and
whatever
scraping your teeth and scraping.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Then they feel weird after they clean them, like behind your teeth, like that back part of your teeth. It feels all weird when they really get in there and clean it good.
The part I hate the most about it is I don't like them flossing my teeth. I don't like the feeling of them like pushing that. I like being in control of that when the floss goes into my teeth.
Yeah.
I get like paranoid they're going to cut me or something, even though they're probably better at it than I am.
Man, this doesn't have anything to do with teeth. But I was just thinking this off topic. It's kind of funny. Did you ever, when you were a kid and your mom used to cut your fingernails? Did you ever hate the way it felt? Like it felt weird when she cut your fingernails?
I'll be honest with you, Patrick. I don't have any recollection of my mom cutting my fingernails.
When I was a little kid, my mom used to cut my fingernails, dude.
I mean, mine probably did too, but I don't remember it, so I must not have had any.
I just remember, dude, it was weird feeling. It was weird, like cut them, and I'd be like, man, my fingers feel weird now. And then, about an hour later,
really,
yeah, it's weird.
Leave a comment.
Cut your fingernails tonight. See what they feel like.
I cut them pretty often. I don't. That's a pet peeve of mine is long fingernails.
Yeah, I don't like them either. I hate it. Mine grow fast, so I'm always like, oh my god, I got to cut my fingernails today, and then I'll forget. And then
you can tell a lot about a man if his fingernails are long or short.
Yeah, or shiny or have some kind of a coating on them.
Yeah, if you got long fingernails and you're a man, I don't trust you all the way.
What about different length fingernails? Because some get broke off from work,
Well, no, man, they you either
chipped
got to be
up.
working, you got to be working enough to get your to where they're just worn down all the time,
Yeah.
or take care of them and get rid of those nasty long
It's
fingernails,
like a
man.
house dog versus a backyard dog. Backyard dog, you don't have to trim their nails. House dog, you got to trim their nails.
Yeah, exactly,
You know,
exactly. That's funny though.
Zeke
That
Zeke
is
can
like
see Zeke sees it right there. I hated the feeling of cut fingernails. It was felt awful.
I
He knows
don't.
he
I
knows what I'm
like it,
talking
but I
about,
don't
man.
like my fingernails long.
Mm-mm.
That's
Well, I mean, they
funny.
wouldn't get long when I was a kid. You know, I never kept up with it. Mom would be like, "Oh, you want me to cut your fingers?" She cut them. I mean, it's so weird feeling.
Huh.
Hated that.
Yeah,
Couldn't stand
I
it.
can't, I mean, I can't say that I ever felt that.
Yeah, I had to brush my teeth too when I was little. I mean, I did, but God, the fluoride, the taste of toothpaste was awful.
Yeah,
I
Huck doesn't
mean,
like toothpaste
ugh,
either.
I hated it when I was a kid.
Everything is spicy. He's like, it's too spicy. I'm like, well, you better get used to it, buddy.
Yeah, I just like drinking a
Um,
lot of Cokes when I was a little kid, which is horrible for your teeth.
yeah,
You know, terrible.
yeah, dude. In the '90s, or you were probably the '80s growing up. Like
Yeah,
things were just different, man. Like I don't know if people just weren't as educated on what's good and bad for kids, and like everything that has red dye in it and all this,
uh,
pop. Yeah, I was the same way though, man. Just like instead of water, you drink pop, or
yeah,
you know,
yeah. I didn't drink. Well, I hated
whatever.
water, and I hated white potatoes too, man. I would never eat white potatoes
Hmm.
because I got sick one time on like going to the movies. I went to see Back to the Future with my dad, and I got sick after eating potatoes, and I would not eat potatoes. I
Would
mean,
you
I
eat
didn't even,
fries?
huh? No, I mean, I
Would
eat
you eat
French
fries?
fries, but I wouldn't eat like white potatoes. Like I wouldn't
Hmm.
eat like a potato with sour cream and all that stuff until I started bodybuilding. I was like, oh, these are what you need, and then I started eating potatoes.
What year were sweet potatoes invented? Because, dude, I don't remember ever seeing a sweet potato when I was young.
Man,
I obviously they
I
were
think
around, but
I think it's a southern thing, man. We eat a lot of sweet potatoes down here.
yeah. But
Hey,
did you back in the day?
no, I don't remember eating them.
That's what I
Not.
meant.
Yeah, I started really eating sweet potatoes when I was bodybuilding because they were lower on the glycemic index, so it didn't spike
Yeah.
your sugar as bad. So they last longer as a carb, so I would eat them a lot more. I
What?
love some sweet potatoes though.
Yeah, I was thinking this the other day. When did bottled water become a thing? Because when I
Probably
was a
after
kid, I don't remember
yeah
much bottled
Y2K
water.
Y2K maybe I don't know.
Hmm.
That's a
People
good
started
point.
stocking up then.
Yeah, I mean, because like I drank from the garden hose, and
Oh yeah, dude.
I didn't eat the lead paint, Chad, but I did drink from the garden hose.
I know Chad. I can confirm he may have ate some lead paint.
Yeah, I know you did. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just kidding.
yeah. I'm in Tennessee
Um,
too, Riley. Yeah, that's funny though, man. God, we used to do some stuff when we were kids. It was so much simpler times back then.
oh, I know.
Like gluten. I mean, what was gluten? Like, I've never even heard of gluten until like I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago. Like I think they made that up.
Um, yeah, there's a lot of weird things that I don't know. Not, I mean, most of it. I mean, a lot of it's good that we're educated on some of that stuff, and we do make it a point to like when Huck's eating something, he's not, like ice cream or something. Like, hey, buddy, like, this is a treat. It's not good for you.
Yeah,
Kind of explain to him why and how it works.
my
But
friend Shane's kids, they don't eat anything but chicken nuggets and pizza. Like literally, that's all they eat. And they try to get them to eat normal food, and they will not eat anything but chicken nuggets and pizza, French fries, like the worst stuff. Like always.
I mean, this may sound bad, but we'll. The rule is for Huck, like, if he's not eating what we're fixing, like, you're going to bed hungry, then, buddy. Like,
Yep. That's
it's the
how
only
we
way you can
grew
do
up,
it.
isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, um, we just tell him like we're your parents. We know what's best for you right now, and you can't. You got to eat this. This is healthy. There's vegetables in here because
Yeah.
of this. There's protein in this. You need to get this meal, or go to bed without food. Whatever you want
Yeah.
to do, bud.
Huck eats pretty good though.
Yeah, yeah. He doesn't do too bad.
Yeah, he doesn't seem real picky. I mean, he's you know,
No,
I was a lot
no.
worse when I was a kid.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, you open that can of letting your kids eat whatever they want, it doesn't get closed very easily.
It's so crazy. I mean, I'm like, Shane. I'm like, dude, quit letting these kids eat chicken nuggets. They've tried though, man. They've tried.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
They went
Especially
to
like,
a nutritionist.
oh, really?
You had to learn what they could do to try to transition them over, and they still are like, they're like 10. They're fixing to be 10. They're twins, and so they're like, no, chicken nuggets. They're funny. White dog poop.
Yeah, that's like a trend going on right now, isn't it? On the internet.
I've
seen that somewhere else. I think that's a video.
Yeah.
About why there's no white dog poop anymore. There's white dog poop in my yard. You gotta watch out for it.
Yeah, I see a lot of it cutting grass.
Yeah,
see everybody.
I think people don't see that stuff anymore because nobody goes outside and plays in the dirt anymore.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It flies up all over my wheels and almost hits me. I'm dodging it all the time, and I'm thinking, why am I still cutting this guy's yard, man? He doesn't pick up the dog poop. Why am I still cutting this guy's yard? You know, I'm like, well, I just charge him extra for the dog poop next year.
There you go.
And I never do. I'm like, you know, and it smells. Oh, I can't stand that.
Dude, yeah, there's nothing worse. I stepped in a pile of dog poop camping last weekend in my Crocs.
Yeah. Oh. Well, better than your feet.
Yeah, true, but it could have very well been my feet. It was in the morning, and I was like, I got outside to pee or something, and I just was not paying attention. Like,
yeah, it got me.
Should we talk about our topic now?
Yeah.
Anything else? Oh, hey, I got this thing, this TikTok you sent me the other day up here.
Oh yeah. Can we watch it?
Yeah, it is the one about like being judgmental towards people, right?
Yeah. He was judgmental, and then I think he goes into. I like what he said about Jesus, and if it's the same one I sent you, he talked about Jesus and he talked about political affiliation because it's an older clip, and I think that the girl was accusing him of the like forcing rules on people when the same-sex marriage laws came about, and I really like the way he answered it. And just for everybody watching, man, I follow this guy, I love this guy. He's taught me more about why Jesus than anyone else or anything other than the Gospels. The Gospels, along with him, really helped me figure things out. So if you can follow this guy, or you might already see him. He's on TikTok everywhere. He's been on some podcasts here lately, but I've been following him for a couple of years.
Yeah,
it's just really strong what I like what he had to say about pretty much everything. It really plays with what's going on today too. You know,
it seems like he's all over the internet, right? I mean, at this particular moment, or at least in my feed, he is. So
well, he did it. He's done a couple of big podcasts lately. Yeah, love Cliff.
Yeah,
he did a couple of big podcasts lately. He did Logan Paul's, which is huge. He did George Janko's, which is huge. I'm praying that Joe Rogan will have him on. I really, that would be my favorite podcast of Joe Rogan's, because this guy is so solid on his theology and why Jesus, and he is so non-judgmental, and you know, I mean, you just got to follow him. He's awesome.
Let's we can watch it and then just talk about it a little bit.
Sure.
All right, here we go.
I would never look you in the face and say, well, it's people like you who pass those laws. I don't know you the same way you don't know me. That's judgmentalism, what you just did right there.
It's people like you who pass bad judgment upon that, making laws which limit them, you know, the way they live their lives. Like,
you don't have the foggiest idea what laws I'm supporting and not supporting. How can you be so judgmental to know that about me?
I'm asking.
No, you didn't. You said it's people like you. That's what you said. People like you. I would never look you in the face and say, well, it's people like you who pass those laws. I don't know you the same way you don't know me. That's judgmentalism, what you just did right there.
Let me try to get
I'm not saying that. I'm saying, no, let me talk to the woman, okay? You can have the floor all you want. You're being judgmental, man. You don't know what laws I support and what I don't support. I tend to support my homosexual friends to the hilt, and I love them, and they know that, and I respect them as human beings, created in the image of God, and they know that, and that's why they invite me to their house to celebrate Thanksgiving with them every Thanksgiving. They also know that I'm committed to Jesus Christ, and they also know, because of my commitment to Christ, that I will genuinely seek to follow him, and they understand biblically why I have reached the conclusion that homosexual practice is not an option. But they also know that I'm totally in touch with my own sinfulness. And therefore, self-righteousness and looking down on another human being is not an option for me. That's the way I live my life, man. And I don't look down on anybody.
Can I rephrase my question?
Please. The floor is yours.
What do you think about gay marriage laws?
What do I think about gay marriage laws? I think that we live in a pluralistic society. I think we live in a democracy, and whichever way we vote, we establish the laws.
How do you feel about it?
I am not going to spend my time giving my finances to support that type of legislation. I'm not going to fight it either, because I'm convinced that the solution to the world's problems is not found in either the conservative agenda or the liberal agenda. I'm convinced that the solution to the world's problems is found in a spiritual relationship with Jesus Christ. And Jesus did not talk about the kingdom of the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. He talked about the kingdom of God and knowing him in a personal way. So that's what I'm all about.
So good, man.
Yeah.
So
That's an old clip too.
Yeah.
You can tell that kid's smoking that dart in the background.
Yeah. That's probably 20 years ago. He's been doing it forever. I've watched all of his stuff, and I can't get enough. I watch him every day, and I'm telling you, man, that guy right there is just an example to me of how we should all treat one another. And he gets a little hot.
Yeah, he's passionate.
Yeah, he's very passionate, but man, I love him. I love him. I watch his church on Sundays. That's the guy who I watch since we kind of lost our church home. And man, it's really hard for me to go anywhere else now that I watch him, because I just love when he preaches from the Bible and Scripture. It's not this this cookie cutter. I see a lot of cookie cutter stuff in churches today that are all trying to grow. And, churches are popping up all over the place all the time. And I don't know how much of it is genuine love for Christ and really wanting to try to show, do what we're supposed to do and bring the good news to people and explain your position, or if it's just trying to make a buck, get out of taxes and have a little status. And I think that a lot of it is the latter. With him, I just don't sense any of that, because he's been doing this stuff for years, and his son is even better than him. Like my wife,
really?
I'm not going to say he's better than him, because I really like Cliff. I like the way that he's fiery and that he's very good. But his son's really good. Stuart is his son's name, and he goes with him to these things. And Brandy likes him because he's also a psychiatrist. So he's got a better way of delivering and explaining things probably than his dad does. But I mean, I like them both. I'd love to talk to him sometime.
Yeah, I mean, we almost talked about a little bit of what he was talking about there, is like the political aspect and how much should religion be involved in politics, and how our forefathers was a very religious or Christianity based mindset back then, and how that's kind of drifted off into the wayside as time has went by.
Yeah. Even if you're not a believer in Christ, the teachings of Christ are good. Now, man has messed up a lot and used Christ and Christianity as a excuse for doing horrible things. That doesn't have anything to do with Jesus Christ. And if our country followed the ethical teachings of Jesus Christ, we'd be a lot better off. And the world did, they'd definitely be better off,
Yeah. Yeah. And it seems like, back in the day, 1776, whenever all that was written, there was a lot of, biblical thoughts that went into writing the Declaration of Independence and all that.
It was definitely God inspired.
Yeah.
A lot of it was God inspired.
Now seems to be a little bit offensive to people that's how it was,
That's what happens when you turn away from God as a nation, and you're more worried about the things of this world than the other side. So
yeah,
that's where we're at, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's kind of a big topic though that I wasn't ready to tackle tonight.
We'll tackle that another time, maybe closer to November 5th, or well, that's deer season.
No, we're still
Heck, I'm always up for good political discussion too. But yeah, tonight we're talking about how to get to heaven. We're not talking about who to get elected. We're talking about how to get to heaven.
Hey, and we don't have to talk about this, but do you want to talk about a little bit of your situation at church and just I don't know, that's a super
sure. So everybody kind of knows why I keep saying we're without a church home. So basically, my wife and I were going to this church and we fell in love with it. Had a lot of great, just good atmosphere, friendly people, great crowd, right? Well, as time went on, I started hearing some things about the lead pastor and his family, and I'm not judging anybody, so don't take this as judgmental, but that there had been some questionable things in his past. And, I give everybody a second chance. People, Paul, look at Paul, I mean, he killed Christians when he was Saul and converted to Christianity and wrote most of the New Testament. So I find it hard to judge anyone based on their past. And his father kind of had the same past too. So basically, we kind of ignored it. An email came out from one of the elders from the church and basically was accusing him of a bunch of things. And it really struck me and my wife off guard. And whether that was the devil or, trying to get involved in something that was flourishing as a church, or whether it was truly a sign that we might need to back off a little bit and pray about it, which we did. We were very uneasy the next service we went to. It just seemed like a lot of the energy and the motivation was there. It seemed like it cast a lot of doubt on the church. And then we went out of town last year. When we were out of town, they had a church meeting, but they had these pastors that were overseers. I don't know if you've got them at your church, overseers of your church, but
Yeah.
I guess it's a thing where other churches oversee newer churches, and those churches get big enough, and then they'll oversee.
Lutherans have like a whole, I mean, for lack of a better words, like a whole political system. Like it's all like there's a Senate and there's pastors that are in charge up there to kind of keep. I mean, first scenarios like you had,
Yeah.
To where if somebody
probably more solid than these non-denominational churches that are kind of popping up
everywhere.
It
is. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, essentially like for us, I mean, we've had to do it in the past for a problematic pastor, but like the elders would go to the Senate and like, hey, this is what's happening in the church right now. And then they would kind of step in and kind of do an investigation or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if that's exactly I'm using the wrong terms, but, and they kind of decide like, what needs to happen essentially.
Yeah. Well,
they recommend to the elders what should happen, I guess, because the church has to vote and all this stuff.
These elders, basically, these overseers came in, and one of them spoke, and he had a church and up somewhere up north, and he stuck around for the week, and then they kind of unveiled their investigation. Now, the investigation, from what I could see, was kind of one-sided, basically to kind of support the church, and a couple of the people that we'd really gotten to really like at the church left the church, and they'd been staples in the church for a while, and that was a shock. And when I found out why they left, it was just they left because things were said or portrayed differently than what they said during the investigation, because they were part of the church workings. And man, after that investigation, basically everybody, like the church went from like 1,200 people on a Sunday to 600 people on a Sunday. And then he got arrested for some identity theft stuff with the same elder that was trying to bring him to restoration is what he wanted for him. He wanted him to take a hiatus, be restored, and then possibly come back and preach, but he fought it. And anyway, he after that, he was gone from the church, and he didn't do anything for a while. He wouldn't even come, you didn't see him. He wasn't posting. He was gone. And then, when we kind of watched, because I was like, let me see, because I like the other pastor too. He was pretty good. But then he came back to the church, and I was like, I'm all about forgiveness. And this is where I may being a newer Christian, you obviously being an elder in your church and having, being part of your church for so long, you've seen a lot more than I have. But I was kind of like, I'm just not comfortable with this guy, even though what I'm doing is right for God, tithing and being a part of a church and serving, I'm just not comfortable having this guy as a pastor and having everyone not support him. But it's like, if you do that and it's like you've got kind of a reputation, I think it's time to move on from that pastor. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, and they stuck with him, which I'm not going to fault them. They know what's best for their church, but that's where we left off. And so my wife and I were just like, we were just so excited and happy about it that we'd found a church that we both loved, and we just took a step back. So now we watch Cliff every weekend while we're trying to figure out what to do in our next step, because we want to make the right step, because joining a church, my friend Keith, who's been a big influence in my life too as a Christian, was a youth pastor. They're actually looking at him. I'll be praying for him. He says, whatever God's will, to be the lead pastor of the church, senior pastor of his church. So he's been a youth minister for about 30 years. And now they're wanting this new church he's been a part of for about 8 years now that he's working at. They want him to be the lead pastor, and he'd be great at it. I know he would. But he kind of said, once you join a church, that's your family, and you don't just turn your back on your family. And we kind of jumped into it too quick. We really didn't know that, being new to all the church thing. And so the next time we want to make sure that we're picking the right church with a good reputation and kind of a longer history before we just dive in, you know. And I like what you said, like Lutheran church. I don't care about denomination personally, but it says something for a church that's a denomination, because you do have that political system and those checks and balances, I would assume, that legitimize it a little bit more as far as making sure you get the right people in places of leadership and you don't end up with someone that's problematic, you know. Maybe. I mean, it happens everywhere, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep. I think when a pastor starts to kind of have a negative effect on people. I mean, I give you an example in ours, and this was kind of before, you know, I was younger when this happened, but I was shortly after this, I became an elder. But you know, we had a pastor that, you know, he wouldn't take communion if certain people were in the congregation sitting there with him. He just was not I mean, one of our elders, you know, he tried to fight him after a meeting one night. He just wasn't a very good. I mean, to lack of a better word, just wasn't a very good pastor. Just very, um, very judgmental of people. Very, I don't know. And so, anyways, they had to go to, like I said, essentially. I mean, if you think about it, it's like you had to go to our pastor's boss and be like, "Hey, this is what's going on." Because if you think about it as a pastor, like that's your occupation. I mean, whether you want to look at it that way or not, like this is how you make your living, is pastoring.
Yeah.
Like you got to have some type of a boss. I mean, you know, it's a dangerous thing to not have some kind of a checks and balances when someone has that kind of power over people, you know, or their attention. So it's a tough one. It's I mean, that's the first time that's ever happened in our church.
It amazes me with these prosperity preachers, how these prosperity preachers, you know, these big ones, I'm not going to name any names, but I think there's some famous ones that any person that watches a little bit of church knows. And it amazes me the people that fall for that, just that stuff, and can't. I mean, you know, the promises of miracles if you just are good enough and you follow, and the promises of prosperity. You know, I mean, that's Jesus didn't teach that, and that's just what. It's, you know, if like with me, if I was watching somebody on TV, you know, then that was a big mega church guy. One, I think it's excessive to have that kind of money and claim to follow Christ, and which that's me being judgmental, but I just think that if you're truly a follower of Christ, do you really need all that? You know, I mean, to a point, you know, you want to build wealth for your family because it's actually biblical to build wealth for your family, but at what point is enough? And I don't know. It's just weird that people just
I think it depends on where your heart is as a church and like what you're using it for, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, a pastor's job is a big job. Like it's a stressful job. You know, our church, our pastor, he has visitations every week. He goes around to does all the visits, does all the funerals, does all the people in the hospital. He has to go visit them, and he has this pretty extensive list. And like those things can't be fun to do. Like going and visiting somebody's dying in the hospital. You know, it's like going to you know, Farmer John that's in the nursing home. That's maybe not the nicest person anymore because he has Alzheimer's, or you know, it's like that job is not fun. And I think a lot of pastors are probably underpaid for what they're doing for the community. But at the same time, you know, like you said, some of these people that are extremely wealthy doing this seems, I don't know, you know.
Yeah, there's some that brag about their wealth too, and I'm like, man, it's just like
it's weird.
It's strange, man. Look, I'm not saying humans, I'm not saying pastors should be poor at all. Like I think they deserve the money that God wants them to have, and be good stewards of that money. But your reward's not here on earth; it's in heaven. And I don't know. That's probably over my.
It's a weird thing though. Like it's a weird concept to think about.
I think that turns a lot of people off to Christianity too, because they see that put front and center versus the good pastors in the smaller churches. I'm just really glad, like that clip you showed of Cliff. I'm really glad he's getting recognition because this church isn't huge. I mean, they do, from what I see, they do one stream service from their church in New Canaan, and New Canaan doesn't look like it's real big. And it's a very diverse church. You know, you got all shades of human in there, and I mean, it just looks. That's why I like it. It's like that dude's been around forever, and he, at least from what I see, he doesn't look like some big, rich, mega money. You know, I mean, he just, you know, you can see it though.
Yeah.
You can get a sense for that. Anyway,
yeah, he definitely doesn't put off that vibe. But anyway, I don't think it's a bad thing for churches to have a lot of money. Like, you know, if they, like, for example, our church, we kind of added on to our Sunday school room because, you know, it was the same one from 100 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it was super tiny and the kids weren't, you know, all the grades were kind of, the only thing that split them up was curtains. And, you know, you're hearing what the fifth graders are learning in the third grade class. And it's like, so we had some funds and we built, you know, we raised funds and built a nice Sunday school room. And we put, you know, we bought a little house next to us for a daycare because, you know, we wanted to start a daycare for the congregation, like stuff like that, where you can bring kids or whoever, it doesn't have to be kids necessarily, but people in the community can benefit from it and maybe in turn, you know, learn about God. I think that's the way church should use their money.
Yeah, that's the way it should be used. You know, not personal jets, big mansions, flat, you know, hanging out with celebrities. I just think all that stuff goes 100% away from what Christ teaches. And I think that what you're talking about is totally acceptable. I mean, for a church to spend a lot on its facilities, for its members to use so that everyone in their family is together and safe and comfortable. Yeah, but to just go and do stuff for yourself and spend weeks in Hawaii or, I mean, I see a lot of stuff. And I'm like, God,
and it's just like everything else. There's, I mean, good and bad people and everything.
Yep. Beware.
All right. Go ahead if you got something else to say.
No, that was it. I just saying beware. Okay. I was going to say beware of false prophets. I think Jesus told us that.
They were there. All right. So for some reason, this passage I read, it's been a while ago I read it, though I have it highlighted in my Bible here. It really hit me and got me thinking. And then today we were trying to think of a topic and it kind of came back up, and it's in Mathew 7. It's just 13 and 14, really. It's called The Narrow and Wide Gates is kind of what the passage title is. It says, enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. So what that kind of shook me a little bit when I read it, and I'm like, man, like not thinking about really what, you know, God tells us what we need to do to get to heaven, right?
Yeah.
But I guess to define that a little deeper, like Jesus was talking there in Matthew saying like very few people essentially are going to cross through the narrow gate to get to heaven. Mm-hmm. Many will go the other way direction. And it got me thinking like, man, like, what's that mean exactly? You know, how few people get to heaven. I don't know. I think, you know, Jesus tells us to, believe in him as your Lord and Savior, and you're going to go to heaven. But like, what does that mean? Like, does it, like, you can say Jesus is my Lord and Savior, but like, what does your heart say?
I got a passage for that too in a second. I'll show you. I'll read it in a minute.
Go ahead.
That's a good question. So I did a little studying after we talked, and let me see. So that's a good question, but this is in John chapter 12, verse 44. I guess this is Jesus summarizing his message to the crowd. It says, Jesus shouted to the crowd. This is all in red letter. So this is what Jesus actually said per the eyewitnesses.
It's in the red letters.
It's in red letters. Yeah, red letter. If you trust
remember
me,
Larry the Cable Guy joke about that? He would say something and he'd be like, it's in the Bible. It's in the red letters.
Yeah, that's the good stuff's in the red letters.
Anyway,
if you trust me, you are trusting not only me, but also God who sent me. For when you see me, you are seeing the one who sent me. In other words, he's saying he's God. I have come as a light to shine in the dark world, so that all who put their trust in me will no longer remain in the dark. This is the verse 47, John 12:47. This is the one where he kind of answers your question. I will not judge those who hear me, but don't obey me, which I read this a long time ago, but I don't remember this. For I have come to save the world and not to judge it. But all who reject me and my message will be judged on the day of judgment by the truth I have spoken. I don't speak on my own authority. The Father who sent me has commanded me what to say and how to say it. And I know his commands lead to eternal life. So I say whatever the Father tells me to say. So in other words, what I get from that, and then you can give me your interpretation, is Jesus is saying that he came to save us, which we know that. And even if you don't obey him, he's still saving your butt as long as you believe in him, right? And as long as you don't reject his message, which I would imagine his message is the golden rule. And his ethical teachings would be what the Sermon on the Mount, right? So I think that for me, that answers the question. It's so odd to think that all you have to do is believe that Jesus is your heart and in your heart that Jesus is your Lord and Savior, and that he died for your sins and that he's the truth. It's hard to believe that gift is such a, for us, like we didn't earn this at all. We didn't do anything. We actually did the total opposite of earning the gift that he gave us. But right there, to me, that says, I mean, it's not saying you don't have to obey me, go sin, just say you believe in me. That's not what that's saying. He knows we can't obey him. We're going to screw up, right? We're messed up people. But he's not holding us to that. He's just holding us to trust in him, what he did for us, and, not to reject the message that he sends to us, which is to love your neighbors, you love yourself, and love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. So that's kind of what I think is the criteria to enter those gates you're talking about. And even though what you read tells us that those gates are narrow and hard for people to get through, I still think that that's what you have to do to get to them. I don't by your works, you won't make it there through your works, basically, because God doesn't care. He doesn't pick favorites, and obviously in the Old Testament before Christ, everybody thought they could work their way to heaven and pray enough and do the sacrifices to get rid of their sin and all this stuff. And Jesus changed everything when he came on earth. I think because God realized, man, these folks cannot get it right. I show them how to do it. And no matter what I do, they still sin. And so he said, I got to do something really drastic. And so that's what he did with Jesus. That's what I think.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know. I wonder what God's definition of, or Jesus's definition of, love him with your whole heart, your whole body, your whole mind. I wonder what that means to Jesus. Are we living up to that?
I mean, as much as we can, Josh. I think we're incapable of doing what we all want to do. I think Paul said it in one of his letters. I think it was Zeke will probably know. He talks about wanting to do good, but doing bad, and not wanting to do bad, or not want to do bad, but he can't help but do it. How that he can't wait for death so that he doesn't have to worry about it anymore. I don't know what verse that is. I wish I did. I wish I could cool and just say, whatever that is,
Romans 4.
Yeah. I want to say it was, I don't know if it was Ephesians, but he was writing a letter to the church.
Yeah.
I think. And he wrote that and saying, I want to do good, but I can't. All I do is bad. Yeah. And, let's say, I was reading comments.
Yeah. I had a thought in my head, but I honestly think, and this is just me, like from what I've gathered and studied, like I think it has a lot to do with where your heart is, right? Like if you're living in some type of sin, which we all are, but maybe you know it's wrong, and you do it anyways, even and not really have like a heart to say like, um man, I wish I'd stopped doing this, whatever your vice is,
Yeah.
I think if you're like truly trying to be better, and your heart is, man, I shouldn't be doing this, and I keep doing it, like, I want to stop, and you're praying about it, you know. Whereas if maybe you're doing this and you don't care, and you're just doing it because it's pleasurable and you
Yeah.
love it, or whatever the
Convicted. Are you thinking about the word convicted? Like, if you're
maybe,
not convicted by the Holy Spirit, like, man, something like, I
yeah,
don't feel right in my heart about this.
yeah, and maybe
You-
that's a sign of you're on the right track,
Yeah. Conviction is
where
definitely.
maybe that's God being with you there.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just doing things that are nasty or sinful, and you have no care about it at all,
Right.
um,
Well, I think if
I don't know.
you're chasing Jesus, and you're trying to do your best to do what you think he would want you to do. And I mean, the thing I always tell people that aren't Christians, that are like, man, yeah, I'm not good enough, or I'd burn if I go through there, I'll catch the whole place on fire or whatever. Right. I always say, man, you don't have to be good to be a Christian. You can come and be
Yeah,
a Christian, and it will make you better. Like, God, the Holy Spirit will work in you. All you have to do is just come along and open your heart. Like, you don't have to be a good person to be a Christian, because Christians are messed up people. Like,
yeah,
we're
there's
messed
people.
up. Yeah, we're messed up from birth.
Mhm.
We have the readiness to sin factor from birth. So we don't even have to think about it. We're going to do it, and we always have, ever since that woman who will go unnamed ate that apple and gave it to our gave and tempted the man. Go figure. But ever since Eve took the apple off the tree, I mean, ever since then we've wanted to sin because it feels so good. We had the knowledge of it and we started doing it, and I mean, nothing will stop you from sinning ever.
Yeah,
You just sin less, and you feel a conviction, and you chase after sinlessness, even though it's something you'll never get to. If you're truly trying to put your faith in Christ and truly try to follow his teachings,
right.
you don't do it to go to heaven. Like, you can try not to sin all you want.
Yeah, that's a lost
can,
cause.
yeah, so that you can go to heaven, right? You can sit here and pray 50 times a day so that you can go to heaven. That ain't gonna get you into heaven, man. You got to put your faith in Jesus and understand that he died because you're messed up, and he gave you this grace and took on your sin so that you could join him in heaven. And the only cost for that is to follow him. And, and that's it. And he told you what to do on earth. Follow the law of Moses, the 10 Commandments, the moral law, which we should all do. And then, two, the golden rule, that's pretty much it. Phil Robertson said it best, that really clicked with me one time when I was early in my journey of Christianity. He said that he had a guy when he was in his worst time,
Yeah,
and he went to church, and he says, well, what do I have to do to go to heaven? The guy said, love God with all your heart and soul. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Treat them like you want to be treated, and try to be good. He said, that's it. He said, yep. And he says, well, I think I can do that. And you look at where he is now, look at how God's blessed him and his family, and what a light they are to Christians around the world and the people around the world, and how they live their lives unapologetically Christian, and they've been able to do that in this world and be successful and mainstream,
Yep. No, it's a interesting verse to like think about, because I feel like Jesus is kind of like poking at us, saying like, hey, like, you can screw this up. A lot of people screw this up.
Yeah.
And if maybe if that's something someone needed to hear tonight, like if you're for some reason or another struggling, maybe that's like a little kick in the butt for people. Like, hey, like, people go to hell.
Yeah.
It's not a not some guarantee thing for you if you go down the wrong path or have the wrong mindset.
Yeah. I think God and heaven are there for all who want it. I think if you want it, the doors are wide open to you. If you want it, if you don't want it, he'll respect you and he'll let you live separate from him. And that's hell, you know, because think about it. God is, in my opinion, God is all around us. I see him in the trees. I see him in the birds. I see him in my friends. I see him in myself, you know, the way we're made, you know, the intricacies of our body and everything and how it works in this world. I see it everywhere. So, like, can you imagine just being in darkness and not being around any of this that we love so much here? I mean, who knows what heaven's like, you know, what we'll learn and the knowledge and how great that'll be. But just, I mean, Earth is pretty dang cool place, if you ask me. And there's so much God around us because he created everything here. It makes it really hard for me to believe that, I mean, for me to ever want to be separate from it, just in total darkness away with everybody else that's separate and wanted to be separate, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, and I oftentimes look into these, like I think about these things probably a little too much. Like I get to where I'm like, what exactly does this mean? Where it's like, well, there's probably no use in me thinking about too much because I won't understand what God means by, only a few will get in, or very few will get in. Like,
Right.
But because he clearly tells us what we need to be doing. So as long as you keep doing that.
I wonder how many Christians versus non-Christians, that's Muslims, Hindu, Buddhist, atheist, agnostic, don't know, living on an island somewhere and never been introduced to Christ. I wonder what the ratio is of Christians to those people. And then you got to go back billions and billions of human beings to the creation of the world.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're under a different kind of, different kind of thing, the Abraham and all them, because of, Christ. But since Christ and his message, like, I wonder how many, when you say that's a small amount, like, I'm sure it's a small amount in comparison to the other for what, centuries since Christ's death and resurrection that don't believe in him. So I don't believe that I'm going to have a problem getting into heaven. Now, I might have to talk a lot and say, hey, yeah, I know I did that. Yeah, I did that too. Yeah, I knew better, but I did that. Like, I might have a long interview process and debrief. We'll call it debriefing process from my
I think we're all going to have that.
Yeah. Some longer than others, but I'm sure where I'm going 100% because I'm doing what he said, and I think that's all it takes. I think people just get so disillusioned with Christianity and think, oh, all those Christians, they are so perfect and, they don't cuss and I can't cuss around them. And, I can't tell them about the bad things I think or do. And I'm like, man, we're human. We think those things too. We do those things. And some people act on them. Some people don't. I mean, my pastor friend I talked to today, I think he said pissed. He said S-H-I-T. I've heard him say the F word one time. And I looked at him like, what? And he's like, oh, man, we were hunting and something made him mad. And he said it not like he does not cuss. And he said that he says like, dang, and all that stuff. But I've heard him say, things like that. And I'm like, what? But he's human, man. And why can he not still preach the message of God when I don't want somebody other than Jesus who is perfect. I don't want another human being portraying perfection to tell me, to clean up my house when we're all got dirty houses,
Oh, for sure. And I think that's another good point. Like, it's not our job to judge people. It's not like you're not the gatekeeper of anybody's religion or their, the way they portray their life or whatever. It's like, you just got to do your best to guide them towards Christ. And that's what we talked about this last week, but man, the internet is just flooded with judgmental people when it comes to that. It's like, man, if that one sin would go away, the sin of judgment, then I can't imagine where we'd be at, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's a hard path, and I think it's made harder by a lot of people who claim Christianity and put things out there that the probably, you know, I like these street preachers and stuff that I see that are screaming at people at gay pride conventions, or, you know, I mean, you kind of got to know where you're at, and to do that is just antagonistic. I think there's a much better way to introduce people to Jesus than to try to make it seem like they're not worthy and we're trying to make them worthy and force it down their throat. I mean, we don't convert anyone.
I think all that stuff has gotten so political now that it's like clickbaity for people to do that kind of thing. Maybe that's the wrong term, but like people, it's like, it's the cool thing to do if you're a Christian. Like, you know, it wouldn't be cool to go, I don't know, go to the local bar and, you know, pick it out there in front of that for the guys that are in there boozing, or the guys that are in there, you know, lusting over other women or whatever, like that. They wouldn't do that, you know. But I think it's just a culture thing right now. That's it's a weird kind of.
I think that kind of goes against. Remember, when you gave Sawyer that bow, you talked about. Was it Mathew about not doing things in private, good for people, and not, you know? And I mean, that kind of goes with that. I think there's a difference in sharing your message on like what we're doing and what Cliff does and certain people, and sharing conversation about it versus like trying to get clickbait and trying to build a YouTube channel or a Facebook and using God just to do that, like to get famous. Like, I don't think he's going to bless that. First off, if he does, it's going to be short lived. I think sincerity means something, and I think it's true love for God and wanting to spread the message. And, you know, God, you know, like I told you when we first started this, I said, man, if God blesses us and we could do this and take care of our families doing something like this, then, I mean, that would be perfection, just because I love Jesus and I love to talk about it. I'll do this for free, you know? But if he blesses it and wants us to continue doing it, he will. And, you know, if he wants us to still show faith and not, I'm not going to say not bless it, but, you know, not in the world at least, then that's just what he does. You know, I'm not going to question God. It's his choice. You know, I'm just here as a messenger and try to, you know, I know what it's done for me, and I want everybody to have that, or at least an opportunity to understand it from someone who is a sinner, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. That's the hard part about, we get really emotional as humans about certain topics, because, you know, whether it be our political views get kind of tugged at, or, you know, just people poking at each other about certain topics, and it becomes a hot topic, whether that be, you know, homosexuality, or, you know, being a Democrat or or Republican, or, I mean, that's all just, I think that's a lot of noise when it comes to our culture.
Yeah.
Because like Cliff said in that clip that we listened to earlier, it's like, you know, the guy there, the Bible doesn't talk about, you know, you need to vote Republican or you need to vote Democrat, you know.
No. Those are the worst. Most of the time, those are the worst people. Worst example.
Right.
You know, I don't know anyone who's really a Christian that would want to be a politician. You got to lie too much. I mean, and you got to be selfish. And, you know, I haven't seen one yet that got up there and made me really truly believe that they were walking the walk that they should be, especially when you have all eyes on you. You know, when people are paying attention to you, I think you should try to keep a little bit moral high ground. You know, I kind of say that with a little bit of trepidation because, you know, they say that about police officers, and I used to be one. So, you know, they hold police to a higher standard, but I mean, God holds us to the same standard. We're all human. We all screw up. We all sin. So maybe not. Maybe that's the human side of me. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think God looks at probably the crackhead that you had to arrest 4 or 5 times the same as he looked at you, you know.
I always treated people really good, no matter who they were, when I was a police officer in my car. I don't think I ever lost my temper with anyone. I think maybe the one guy that spit on me that I punched just out of reaction in the face. I think he was the only one, and I wasn't even mad at him. You know, on the way downtown, I played his rap music he liked to listen to cool him out before he went downtown. So, I mean, it was just business. That's how I always looked at it. I never got mad at anybody, you know?
Yeah.
And anytime I could kind of talk about the gospel with people, I try to do that with kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something we need more of in the world.
Hey, I got a question for you, and we don't want to talk about this because you may not know anything that's going on. But have you seen this Scotty Scheffler, the #1 golfer in the world that got arrested before that tournament? Have you
Oh yeah,
followed
yeah,
that as a police officer? Did
yeah.
you
It looks
see any
like
of the footage?
it looks like those officers screwed up.
Okay,
Yeah,
I was going to
they
ask you about that.
Yeah, it looks like they made up some stuff because that totally did not match what the police report said. From what I've read, I mean, I don't know, I wasn't there,
Sure.
but from what I understand, that Scotty Scheffler is like the nicest guy, family man, the
Yeah.
#1 golfer in the world, and
Yeah.
I mean, he tried to ram him. That didn't happen, obviously, in the video. He tried to an officer got dragged. That didn't happen in the video. I think those officers got hot because he didn't misunderstood some commands. And he probably tried to tell him, look, man, I'm Scotty Scheffler, man. I'm coming here to play. I'm here to play, And I think they were like, oh, you think you're something. And then they, I've seen officers do that, man.
Yeah.
They do it all the time. I think they're
I was
tough
wondering.
guys.
I was going to ask you about that if that happens a lot, or not a lot, but if some officers get a little bit that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was pretty. I don't know. It was weird, man. I was there that morning. I went and watched that. That's the morning I went down there and watched that tournament.
Oh, really?
But, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That was in Indiana?
It was in Louisville.
Louisville. Oh, so it was in Louisville, Kentucky. Okay.
Yeah. I just live right. I just live just north of Louisville.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. See, we have the FedEx St. Jude that comes here every year. That's a big golf. I remember Fuzzy Zeller dropped his golf ball like by my foot when I was a little kid. And my dad was like, Fuzzy Zeller,
he's from
man.
Indiana.
Yeah, he's like, that's Fuzzy Zeller, man. You better get that ball. Like, he dropped it right next to me. Like, I was sitting there watching him. He putted, then he walked off, and he's like, boop, to give me the ball that he just putted and everything. I was like, oh, keeping this. Because I used to play golf when I was like 10 to like 13 or something.
Yeah.
But then I got out of it, and then I started lifting weights, and that was it.
Yeah.
Started on hardcore.
That body type's not real conducive to good golf.
No. There was too much up top for me to swing a club.
It was, I mean, that whole scenario was insane. Like how they got him booked, got him in a jump, like the orange jumpsuit, and like that seemed weird to me that they put him in a orange jumpsuit.
Seemed excessive, a lot of excessive.
Yeah. It feels just like a big dog and pony show that they're just trying to get a bunch of.
Did you see his attorney? What his attorney said?
What did he say?
Oh, his attorney was like, y'all want to take this to court? We're more than ready. Let's do this.
Yeah.
He was like, we're going to go. We'll take it all the way. Y'all have a jury trial and everything. We're good. We see the evidence.
I heard someone mention that the mayor of Louisville isn't a big fan of the police department. And there's like some things going on that maybe that he's just like pushing this to make the police department look bad.
Is Louisville run by Democrats?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a lot of problems in Louisville.
They usually don't like the police. You look at any of these cities run by Democrats. Yeah, man, they're doing all like in Memphis. We have a new DA in Memphis, which I say they because I'm not there anymore.
You're not in Memphis anymore.
I'm not even in the county, but they have a new DA, and he's one of these no bond guys. You know what I mean? Like you can get out of jail with no bond. He let some kid out. Who was it? The officer that got killed a month and a half ago. The kid was an 18-year-old kid that killed him, and he was out on his own recognizance after carjacking, theft of property, attempted murder, and they let him run. I mean, it's like that is just crazy to me that you're letting these criminals that have done violent crime back out on the street to just – what do you think they're going to do? Just stop?
Yeah, what's the point in even arresting them?
Man, they might as well not,
I know.
But they did change the law here in the state of Tennessee. They used to have, they just changed it because of that. The representative for this area, that district, or it might be my district too, but that district changed it. It was, they used to do a ability to pay. So, I mean, these folks are all poor and nothing wrong being poor, but they're all poor. They're kids. They're 18-year-old kids with no jobs. They sell dope. They steal stuff. And so when they go to an ability to pay, they don't have an ability. So the judge is like, okay, well, he can't pay a bond, so we're just going to release him on his own recognizance. Like, what sense does that make? It doesn't matter what the crime is. I mean, when I was a cop, we had this one guy, my friend Brian was my FTO. I forget that guy's name. He was Brian knew him real well because they called Brian Scarface because he looked kind of like Scarface. That was his name in the hood, Scarface.
Yeah,
because he looked like Tony Montana kind of. But his last name is Bermudez, so maybe that too. Because he's not his dad's Puerto Rican, but his mom was white, so he's white boy country from Marshall County, Mississippi. And but they called him Scarface. And this kid, I mean, he was out. He had like 3 different pending cases for burglary and robbery. And I think Brian went over there and he was hiding in an attic or something. And he wouldn't come out unless Brian got him out because he trusted Brian. So Brian went in there and got him out. He said, "Man, I ain't coming nowhere unless you get me Scarface." So they called Scarface, old Brian down there. Brian got him out. But he'd been, God, what was that kid's name? I can't think of it. He had a funny Moose. His name was Moose. That was his name, Moose. That was his hood name, Moose. And yeah, man, we had a lot of those. I could tell stories for days, man.
I bet. Oh, I bet.
That was a lot of
one day just on Patrick's.
Oh man, I could, story. Man. I could. We had some good stories, man. It was a good time.
I know. We had a buddy. It was my dad's buddy. He was a police officer in a town we used to live in, and he's like, he was always in a bad mood. He's like, man, I used to love being a police officer. I really felt like I was helping the community, and he's like, now I just feel like I arrest the same 6 or 7 people every week.
Yeah, that's where it got with me. You get disillusioned with it because the justice system doesn't hold them accountable. So you're like, why am I even going and why am I trying to fight crime when they could kill me? They'll have me a big, pretty funeral. I mean, the most awesome funerals are police funerals and fire funerals. They're awesome. But like, I don't want to be mine. And like, they're just going to let this dude out before I even get off my shift. So it just made me just go, man. And they're in neighborhoods. And this is when I knew I need to quit. I'm like, I don't care about this neighborhood. Like, I don't live here. I'm not, this crime's not affecting me personally. And I'm in here and these people hate my guts. And then, they're not going to tell me what I need to do. And then the criminals want to kill me. So I was like, why am I doing this? And for the pay, and then the administration doesn't stand behind your back and took all our benefits. I just like, man, I'm out of here. Yeah. Best thing I ever did was leave. Best thing I did was get on the police department because it really helped me learn a lot of stuff about the world and the way it really works, and made situational awareness too. But the best thing was leaving that sucker too.
Yeah.
Knowing when to fold them.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I didn't see any real heavy questions on the chat tonight.
Yeah, just comments.
Yeah.
Everybody treat everybody good, even if they don't agree with us. Gotta love them. Love them all, man. Even if they don't agree, we might be wrong on something, and they might be right. Actually, I mean, like I said, we did preface it tonight with we're just 2 dummies that love Jesus, and we're talking about.
Oh yeah, we have said that every other show.
Yeah, but, so we're no theologians here, so feel free to help us.
Things we've been thinking about this week, essentially, is what we're doing.
Yeah,
when it comes to the Bible, but
everybody else to think about stuff too. So
yeah, we usually do these Monday night too. We just have. Last week, Patrick was sick on Monday, and then this week it was Memorial Day.
Well, no, we did last Monday. It was the Monday before that.
Okay.
Wasn't it? Yeah, it was the Monday before that.
Anyways, Tuesday's not typical.
Yeah, we do them on Mondays.
Yeah. It just I should have put something on here last night about how we're going to do it tonight, but I just thought, people probably.
Well, Memorial Day, everybody was probably hanging out or hanging over yesterday. So, I was doing housework and trying to get cars listed for sale and boat.
Yeah, you want to plug your what do you got for sale right now, Patrick?
Yeah, I've got a really well run, kind of cosmetically hurting Dodge Ram 1500 with 9,600 original miles. It's a 2-owner vehicle. Basically, I bought it from the girl whose dad died, so she owned it, and then I owned it. And I've got a Dodge 1500 4x4 that was my dad's, and I think I got that one sold. And I have a 2022 Havoc, which is way more boat than I should have for the money, sitting in my garage for 2 years that I've used 8 times to duck hunt. And trying to get rid of it so that I can free up some debt and pay off some stuff. So times are tough. I got to buy
2 old Dodge pickups and a nice boat.
Yeah, and I got a wheelchair and some other various stuff if you got sick or elderly parents, you know.
Are you going through some of your dad's stuff too? Like,
Yeah, man, he's
okay.
got some nice clothes. Like, I mean, it's not my style because he was just an older, but I mean, he's got like, man, I don't know if your dad is like this or if you've seen old men like this, but man, those creases in those pants where they put that crease in the front of the pants,
Yeah.
man, he had the sharpest crease in all his pants when he was, you know, to the nines, man. And like his jeans, he even ironed his jeans with a crease in the front. And the crease, you know, as the jeans got older, the crease would be white from the wear, from the, you know, you could see it regardless.
Right there.
It was always there, man. I'm like, you freaking, I think he was autistic a little bit or on the spectrum or something, man.
Oh, that's
He was
funny.
special. Yeah.
I don't pay that much attention to my clothes.
No, me either, man. You've seen me. We dress about the same. Heck, we hate haircuts. We hate beard cuts. And what else do we hate? We clip our fingernails. We got that on the, and we brush our teeth. Yours are a little whiter than mine. I got 10 or 12 years on you though in age. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's funny. All right. Well, we'll think of something good to talk about next week, and you guys can tell us what we said wrong and stuff. So
cool.
Anyway, thanks everybody.
Thanks everybody. God bless everybody. Have a good week.
Before you leave, and go give Patrick a follow on Facebook and Instagram and Native South.
Yep, Southern Rose 901 on Instagram. I got to get over 400 friends. I've been there. I get going like 400, 401. Oh, you're back to 398. I'm like, what? Why can't I finally broke 400, and I think they're real people now.
Yeah, there you go. All right, everybody. Have a good night.
See y'all.
Bye.